Hello, everyone. um, Coming back to you again, and I just want to continue with the letters. Um, Here, instead of going directly into the next letter that I'd written to the organization, in order to prepare for that letter, I need to share a couple of other letters that I'd written. They're short, but here I had written in 2014, August of 2014, I wrote a letter to the General Counsel. So that you can see that, to the council. And I also wrote to Bishop Bailey. Okay? And included in that letter to the bishop was this. Okay? Now, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm not sure whether you saw it in reverse, but I'll read out to you what it says. The first letter was to the Bailey General Counsel, and the facts regarding my appeal case to Bishop Bailey would have been included to the letter that I had sent to him. Okay. I think I'm going to read the facts regarding the case first, and then I will read the letter to the General Counsel, and then the letter to the bishop. And once again, my purpose for doing this is for all of those individuals, even though I don't have to do this, I don't need to show proof, I don't need to validate anything, I don't need to verify anything, I certainly don't need to offer any evidence for anything whatsoever that I've done. The law doesn't stipulate that at all. No law stipulates that you need to go around proving yourself to everybody. As I said, there's a young lady by the name of Jane Elliott. Everybody need to look up this project that she initiated. She was a school teacher, and she saw a problem in her classroom. I'm not going to talk about the problem, but what I will talk about is what she came up with in order to address the problem. And in order to address the problem, she was going about a very strange way of resolving this problem. Turns out that her method was brilliant. Anyway, Jane Elliott, and the project that she put forward was something known as Brown Eyes, Blue Eyes. Brown Eyes, Blue Eyes. You can look it up on YouTube and see the Brown Eyes, Blue Eyes project. And then you'll see what I'm talking about. So anyway, within some of her recordings, people was very upset with her. But that's where I got this from regarding how I should respond to how people respond depending on the things that I have to say or the things that I share. That said, I no longer care about how people respond to what it is that I'm sharing, because my intent is honorable. My purpose is to help every single one in, outside of, or interested in the organization to bring matters forward, to allow everyone to see and understand that the leaders have been deceiving everybody. And as a result, many, many people have been hurt by the actions of those leaders, and family members have been hurt. I'm going to get into that later as we come closer and closer to the end objective. Anyway, these are things just to share with you for those individuals who still suggest that I'm going about what I'm doing the wrong way, what I'm going to do is going to end up splitting the kingdom. It's going to turn people this way or that way. People are going to be hurt. I don't care about what anybody has to say about what you feel is going to happen. I understand that look, the Creator's in control, period. I put my trust in him, and he gave us his son, and his son said, we believe in his Father, also believe in him. That's where I stand. I've been manipulated and deceived, and as you're going to see in all these letters, how faithful and dedicated and devoted I was to our leaders for the purposes of at least offering one example for the members to look at and see, here we have somebody who's doing it right. There was a person came to me, and they told me that they watched and observed me for 3.5 years. I love this person to death. The sister that I was working with on one of my jobs in the mid-90s. This sister happened to be a member of the House of Prayer as well. Anyway, she hit me with this statement that I had, because of the way I lived, reassured her faith in, in our Father, as well as in the House of Prayer. She was completely let down and very, very, very much sorrowful over what she had learned. What she had learned is that all across the front, every single one of them was corrupt. And she shared information with me about her findings. And this individual is still here today. And this individual still is very much aware of all the things that she came into the knowledge of pertaining to, in her words, every single person in the front. Everybody. Everybody. And by the front, she was talking about the pastors, the chairmen, and the council. And many of the local elders and the junior pastors, called assistants or youth pastors. Anyway, these sisters know a whole lot of stuff, because one thing is for sure, people talk. We'll come back. I was abiding by the laws, and as such, I was writing letters to bring to the attention of individuals that I wanted to carry on my case. So let's get started. First of all, the facts. Facts regarding, excuse me. This is a lot of talking. Facts regarding appeal case 4 at the time, St. Elder, currently Brother J. Lewis. On Friday of Memorial Day services held in Washington, D.C. this past year, May 2014, I went to attend the General Assembly being a credential-holding member. After arriving, I was informed at the door that my name was not on the roll at all. I was asked if I had my credential with me, and once I submitted it for them to check, they read the front, they noticed my name, all is well, it must be an oversight, so they penciled it in, okay. I submitted it for them to check, my name was handwritten in, and I was given a name badge, allowing me permission to attend. I had now gotten inside of the General Assembly and making my way around the sanctuary to take a seat. Approximately 10 minutes after I arrived, after I went inside, Apostle Cunningham had Apostle Greer. He motioned for him, and he had him come over and had Apostle Greer announce over the microphone for me to report to the front. Now, this was done in order to embarrass me. When you're in the General Assembly, everybody is waiting for instruction. So as soon as somebody get into the microphone, you got everyone's attention. And at that time, all they had to do was just walk over there to me, or all they had to do was send Apostle Greer over there to me. They saw me walking around. I saw him look up at me. But instead of send someone, you put my name in the mic to further humiliate and embarrass me. Okay. Announce over the microphone for me to report to the front. I'm going to go ahead and read your name. I don't like saying your name because I don't like being reminded of all the things that you've done secretly, behind closed doors, and underhandedly. I pray quite often for the Lord to not allow me to build up any type of ill feelings towards people, because that causes them to feel all types of ways, and eventually those feelings grow and they grow and they grow, and it's not a good thing. So I just try not to say the names of you as well as many of those men on the council, because I don't want to develop hatred. I want to continue to pray for. So what allows me to continue to do those things is to not repeat your names. However, Apostle Cunningham began questioning me concerning my presence there as the General Assembly Secretary. And I informed him that I was a credential holder and was supposed to be there. You know this. What are you talking about? He then informed me that my credential was not valid. At that moment, the cat was out the bag, because how is it that I just walked in the door and you already know that my credential is not valid? You hadn't even looked at my credential. My credential had came to me from the state chairman at the time, Elder A. Monroe of New York. Anyway, so I'm going to stop talking and simply read through the letter. It'll explain everything. He then informed me that my credential was not valid. I let him know that it was valid and that my chairman had taken care of my credentials in California earlier this year. He explained to me that he was in California and that my credentials is not valid. He asked if I looked at my credentials. Valid means they will stamp the back of your credentials as blank with the date and the bishop's signature, indicating that your credentials is now valid for another year until it's time to get checked again to make sure that you're in good standing to continue for another year, so on and so forth. But he asked if I looked at my credentials. I had not. I trusted that they were fine. When I paused to look at him, when it hit me, I looked at my credentials. I saw that it had not been stamped and the expiration date had not been extended. I told him that I had not looked at it because I just got it back from my chairman a few days ago, and he had told me that my credentials had been taken care of, and I needed to get checked in New York to be added to the state roll. Apostle Cunningham then told Apostle Greer to take me to the council downstairs and have me tell it to them, escorting me out of the General Assembly. In other words, I am not to be in the General Assembly. After taking the seat downstairs now in front of the councilman, after taking the seat, the governing attorney at the time, Apostle Crawford, questioned me as to why I didn't get checked in LA. I informed him that I had sent a letter explaining why I couldn't make it by my chairman, Elder Monroe, asking the council to extend my credentials to allow me to get checked in New York, which is proper procedure according to our laws. If you cannot make it, you send in an absentee fee. You send in a letter asking to be excused, and you send in a letter explaining why you're not able to make it. I did all three. I had my critique card. It was signed by my pastor with good remarks. It was signed by my chairman with good remarks. And my chairman, Elder Monroe at the time, told the pastor, everything is fine. It's all golden. He's okay. His name is added to the roll. It's been taken care of. only to find out after I paid and made my way to Washington from New York to attend the General Assembly that I can't get in. And they knew that they had done this, and now I'm in DC, spent money for this trip. This is done quite often. This is how our general counsel and Pastor Cunningham worked many, many times to railroad people. Anyway, why didn't I get checked in LA? I informed him what Elder Monroe did, and I sent my letter asking the council to extend my credentials to allow me to get checked in New York. He told me no matter what happened in the council, no matter what you did, my letter was not valid because it's not stamped, and I was not allowed in the General Assembly for something they neglected to do, even though I followed all of the laws. Okay. I asked if my credentials could be extended there in Washington. Can't y'all take care of it here? Stamp it here. But he turned the conversation back to my credentials, said they're not valid, and that because they're not valid, I'm not even an elder. I asked how is it possible that I follow the procedures, submitted a letter of explanation, followed the chairman's orders. I'm on the other side of the country, not in Los Angeles, living in New York, but I'm still being held accountable for something that was not only not in my control, but something that the general counsel did themselves in neglecting their obligations and their services to one of the elders of the organization. Apostle Crawford implied that they knew about the letter, but the council doesn't automatically waive the fact that an elder is supposed to get checked just because they write a letter. That is our procedure. And the council does waive the individual who's supposed to be there. They waive their absence. They're not held accountable because they followed the law. They wrote a letter to inform the council. They're excused, they're exempted, their letter's accepted. They extend their credentials or their letter until the time designated for them to come and get checked. All is well. That's the procedure. They didn't follow it, I did. Now I'm being held accountable. I again told him that these were extenuating circumstances, and if the council knew that they had considered my letter but chose not to do anything with my credentials, why was I not informed so that at least I would have had the opportunity to go to Miami and get checked in March so I could have my credential? It would now have been validated. I would now be okay to attend the General Assembly in accordance to our laws, like I'm supposed to be. He then asked if I had talked to the chairman, Elder A. Monroe. And I shared with him that we had spoken on several occasions, and he told me that everything was taken care of. He's adding me to the state roll, and that I needed to make sure to get checked in New York so that all of this would be concluded. Apostle Crawford asked, why am I just bringing this up now? Because now is when I'm finding out that you all did not do your job, and Apostle Cunningham is sending me out of the General Assembly to further conclude what you all was up to. Why am I just bringing this up now? I let him know that I didn't know that my credentials was not valid until Apostle Cunningham pointed it out to me upstairs. I shared with him that my chairman had my credential for almost 4 months now. And every time I or my pastor, Elder David White, went to pick it up, he said he didn't have it with him. Judge Howe called for the pastor and chairman to be brought down. Elder White, my pastor, said that I was in good standing and that I had followed the orders given to me. Elder Monroe stated that he had talked to you Elder Monroe stated that he had talked to Dad and that he thought I was supposed to get checked in New York. That's not right. Oh, it's a typo. And I just remembered what he said. He said that he had talked to you and Dad. You and Dad implied either the pastor or the judge. Now, I didn't know who he was talking about because they have outside conversations outside of your presence where they get things done. So either the chairman or the pastor is who he's speaking of. And he's saying that he had talked to whoever, either the judge or the pastor and Dad, and thought that I was supposed to get checked in New York. Now, even if that was the case, my credentials would have still been valid. And why is New York an issue? Because I'd moved to New York from Texas, and I'm now there. So I needed to be added to the roll in New York. I even have the letter from Bishop Bailey where he approved of the move, and he stated everything was in the clear. And he even called the pastor, Elder White, to let him know he's sending him help. So how this whole thing got mixed up, and now the chairman and the council is taking my credential and not validating it to cause problems for me by not allowing me to attend the General Assembly and my title to even be taken, and I'm no longer an elder but a brother. I didn't understand what was going on. Not much else was said to the chairman about this, and Judge Howe, the judge, held to the judgment that my credentials was not valid. He sustained that ruling. My credentials is not valid, and I would not be admitted into the General Assembly, and furthermore, that I need to get checked in New York to get my credentials back. So the point was to keep me out of the General Assembly, allow me to leave Washington, going back to New York as a brother, no longer as an elder, to begin to wear the title of brother, and to no longer have my credential in my possession, and to wait for convocation to start and then get checked there. When all of this could have been done within 5 minutes time, right there in DC, I could have gotten my credentials stamped, gone right back upstairs to the General Assembly. So why is it that that didn't happen? Because they didn't want it to happen. They didn't want me to have access to the General Assembly. They didn't want me to have a credential because of what I said before. Their entire aim is to take men who has the attention of the members of the organization. If they have a credential, they want to get it back from them. If they don't have a credential but apply for one, then the council will fight it because they want to control who is in the General Assembly and who is up there that has a credential in their possession, because those are the individuals that the members, according to the Constitution, can nominate to be elected as the bishop. I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about the procedure. That's what the council's afraid of. They need to control anybody that's going to be in the General Assembly this year, the next year, and years following, so that they can keep a tight grip on who might become the bishop. That's how this whole thing has been working. Anyway, I was told later that day that my being escorted out of the General Assembly and the question of my credentials was not even reported to you after your arrival to the General Assembly. Again, remember, this letter was written for the bishop at the time, Bishop Bailey. And what I was talking about was there is a portion of the General Assembly, there's a part where after they do the roll call, if there's any individuals that have a discrepancy with whether or not they are to be present in the General Assembly, or if there's an issue with their credentials in getting in, they are directed to wait at the back door. After the bishop's arrival, they will bring those names one by one before him so that they can explain to him what the discrepancy is and then give him the opportunity to determine whether or not they are to be brought inside. What was brought to my attention is my name was never even put on the list. It was never even told to him that I was there in the first place, nor was it told to him, of course, that I was escorted out, nor was it told to him that the issue with me being there was a discrepancy over my credential because it wasn't valid. Now, if they had put me on that list, if this had been brought to the bishop at that time, then what would have happened? This would have been explained to the bishop, and then he would have said, well, why is it that if he followed the orders, you all failed to do your job? The problem is, I now believe that the council was simply following the orders from the bishop. Because now I understand that the bishop has been doing things behind closed doors and violating laws the whole time. And the council not only has been protecting him, but they've been covering up for him so that his orders to them are never even known by the members of the organization. And that's what you are doing, Bishop Cham, still carrying out your orders secretly and letting them know to not let anybody know that they're carrying out your orders. Anyway, let's go ahead and close this out. When I went to get checked in New York, I asked Apostle Cunningham if I should take the seat prior to your arrival, before the bishop got there. He told me to hold on, but never told me to come forward. I waited for over 2 hours while y'all did nothing. And the reason why he had me wait, let me continue. It may explain it. But he never told me to come forward. After you left, I went to Judge Gibbs to ask about my being checked. Sometimes they go out of the court and then they come back in. While he left, I went up to the bench and I asked Judge Gibbs if I can come on up and get checked. After explaining why I didn't get checked earlier that week, I was told there was no checking on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Wednesday I was waiting for counsel to come to Brooklyn number 3 to walk through the house of prayer. Thursday, they were off, and that only left Friday. Thursday they didn't have a council session, and that left Friday. So now I'm there on Friday. It's not my fault. They are the ones that were not checking. And they knew what they were doing because they knew that I was there in New York to get checked. So he then told me to take a seat. I went back to my seat. After I announced who I was for the record and that I was there to get checked and get my credentials back, there was a portion that I missed. After waiting a little longer, he had me take a seat. Now, this was after the bishop had arrived, and now the bishop is gone. So Pastor Cunningham kept me out of the seat from getting checked so that I wouldn't get checked before the bishop's arrival. It's important for you all to understand why they do this. If I had gotten checked before the bishop's arrival, then I could have appealed their decision, and my appeal case would have come up there that day because he has not arrived yet. So now that I've appealed, my appeal case is going to be heard right then and there. And there's a possibility where he can overturn their decision and I get my credential back. So it was strategic that Apostle Cunningham kept me out of the seat and had me wait for a total of 3.5 hours while they did nothing. They talked and made it look like they're doing stuff. But now that the bishop is gone, now I can take the seat. Why? Because if I disagree with them, if I appeal, Well, I can't see the bishop on that day anymore because he's already come and now gone. Watch this. The judge then shared with me, Judge Gibbs at that time, the judge then shared with me that I'm not even on the state roll and that I need it first to get on the state roll before I come to get checked. How are you going to get checked? And you're not even an elder. You're not on the state roll. You see the games? How are you going to get checked? You need to get on the state roll. I then told the judge that I was on the roll and that the chairman had told me and my pastor that he was adding me to the roll after he had recently returned from California. He said that I was already on the roll. He told my pastor that. He told me that. I'm already on the roll. I just didn't know that he had not put me on the roll. The judge let the cat out of the bag, Judge Gibbs. Judge Gibbs began to get upset, raising his voice about my not being on the roll. You're not on the roll. You're not on the roll. I don't care what he said. You're not on the roll. I've seen the roll. If you was on the roll, you would have been here earlier this week. I quietly told him he must have misunderstood, and I tried to explain. And I said it just like this. I'm sorry, Judge, but there must be some misunderstanding. I don't want to upset you, but the thing, there ain't no misunderstanding. Ain't no misunderstanding. Went in that direction. Okay. I also reported that I had followed our procedure and the orders given to me and should not have had any problem with my credentials. He began to let me know he had not misunderstood and that I should have went to California to get checked. After Elder Monroe was called, he told the court that he could not recall telling me to write a letter and give it to him to take to California. Denied the whole thing. He informed the court that I had only met him once and that I had not even been to one elders meeting in the state. Now trying to lay on excuses and reasons why I was not an elder, should have never been an elder. I don't remember him coming to me and me telling him to write a letter. Here comes all the lies. I replied that I had excuses of which he knew of, but I could also see what was taking place. Judge Gibbs told me that I need to get on the state roll before I can get checked, and that I needed to see my chairman first. Before you come back to get checked, you need to get on the state roll. I began to ask, how do I get on the state roll if I'm still a brother? See, these ignorant rules that they're coming up with, they know that they're putting you through this endless cycle of just garbage. Not garbage. Garbage. They try to dress it up, make it look fancy. Trash is still trash. And by that, I mean the things that you're saying. You know it's all a game to you. It's just garbage. This things that you're saying as an excuse to justify your behaviors and your actions towards the members of the organization, you're making it up on the spot. This is just garbage. I know all the laws. The things you're saying, you're simply trash. It's falling on. Listen, how do I get on the state roll if I'm still a brother? But I was interrupted and he cut me off again, started yelling. Dad, in the letter, add, I could see the runaround that he was giving me, so I asked if I got with the chairman now, if I could come back and get checked while they were still there in New York. If I go right now and get on the state roll, the chairman's right here beside me. If I step out the chair, go over there to the corner, have him add me to the state roll, can I come right back and get checked? See, just like they're trying to give me a runaround, I'm putting you right back in the corner. How about we deal with it right now? right now. The chairman's right here. All he has to do is say, you know what, you're on the state roll. Boom, done. Council, go ahead and do your job. But they work together to postpone, to push off, to come up with excuses to not do their job while holding you obligated to whatever the decisions is that they're making on your behalf, even though they know that they're not abiding by the law. It's all a setup. Judge Gibbs kept stating for me to see the chairman without giving me a direct answer. Look, see your chairman. See your chairman. The chairman's right here. Go see your chairman. Now you're getting upset because they really want me out the seat, but I'm not getting out the seat. I need you to deal with this. And I'm doing this all politely. I'm sorry, Judge, I don't understand. If the chairman puts me on the roll, can I come right back and get checked? Refuse to answer. Elder Monroe sit beside me. He took the microphone and moved it towards Pastor Cunningham, who was sitting there observing the whole thing. And then he turned to face me. I sat there just like this in the seat the whole time. My hands was actually on my knees. He turned to face me. He then tried to turn my chair towards him and angrily told me in a lower tone that as far as he's concerned, if I'm going to disrespect the council and disrespect him, that I'll never go on his roll. That, well, I almost lost it. I responded that I'm not disrespecting anyone and that I'm not going to allow him to lie to this court and lie to others concerning me and not do anything about it. I'm not going to allow that. Just like I told you in court in front of everybody, I wasn't going to allow you to say the things that you were saying, which you knew were complete lies. When I told you that you were making this stuff up or lying, or I don't know where you're getting it from, but what you were saying is simply not true. The day that I told you and the entire court that y'all are nothing but a bunch of clowns, you have turned this general counsel into a circus, and this is not what Father, our Creator, is looking for. I said, I'm embarrassed to have anything to do with you. I want nothing to do with any of you. And I told you and the entire court on that day that none of you are men to me. I respect only your titles because none of you are men. You're certainly not men of God. Those are my exact words to you. I continue. Now that was in California. In New York, I'm just sitting there waiting for you to fix my credential that y'all took. I responded that I'm not disrespecting anyone, but I'm not going to sit here and not do anything about Monroe lying. At that time, Apostle Hebrew Wiggins came running off the mountain, and about 3 or 4 others rushed to stand behind me, while Hebrew Wiggins came to stand in front of me. Judge Gibbs got up out the seat, come around the table to stand over here in front of me. Hebrew's right here, Monroe sitting in the chair beside me. And Hebrew Wiggins began to yell at me in my face, fists clenched, stomping on the floor. Get out the seat. Get out the seat. Your time is up. Get out the seat. I still sat there, just like this, hands on my knees, and just looking straight forward. I looked at you, just like this. While he's yelling here, Pastor Gibbs standing here, Monroe sitting here, and 3 or 4, what I understand now to have been his band members, that he told, when Lewis take the seat, y'all be ready. And I think that that was done because y'all saw a business card of mine that I had. I was teaching things out in Texas, and y'all saw my business card. I sat there and looked at you. because you knew me, you knew my family, and you sat there. I sat there yelling, 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 just like this. Then the Spirit put on my mind, just say you appeal. That's exactly what happened. And about 40 seconds later, yelling, 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 the only thing I was waiting for, as, whoo, our Father is my witness, the only thing I was waiting for was for one person to touch me. They were ready to physically get me out of the seat. I had done nothing wrong or acted out of order. In my mind, I kept rehearsing. I just need one person to touch me. I then turned to Judge Gibbs and I let him know I want to appeal. That's exactly what happened. He said, appeal? Who are you going to appeal to? I waited to see how many of the other councilmen would respond. What do you mean, who am I going to appeal to? Who are you going to appeal to? Dad, none of them moved or said a word. The same thing happened to me, and I can't say that D word anymore. So I'm going to go back to Ad or Addie. The same thing happened to me in Addie Madison's day, when a similar case came up and I appealed. Apostle Gibbs, the governing attorney at the time, back in Addie Madison's day, asked me the same question, who was I going to appeal to? As if there's nothing that we can do when they do this wrong that they're doing in the court, given the impression that we can't even go to the bishop. And the whole council does this, and they cover it up. I called Portal Drive. I spoke with Lady D, and she directed me to be there Friday for Supreme Court in order for Bishop Addie Madison to come. She told me, when he asks if there's anybody here who feels they've been mistreated unfairly, that was my cue to come forward. She says she's going to let them know what happened, but to be there Friday. On that Friday, the council saw me waiting at the back, and then they approached the bench. And while talking to Addie Madison, they were stalling him, distracting him so they wouldn't see me standing at the back. While one of the other councilmen came over, whispering to me, Louis, we worked it out. Your letter's already been cleared. We worked it out. Come and get it. Price got your letter. He has your letter. Waiting for me to get to the table so that I'm no longer waiting to speak to Bishop Madison. At that time, I asked, are you sure? Yes, it's done. They're going to go ahead and take care of it right now. Okay, no problem. And I went and did it. I went and got my letter back. I only regret today, I didn't understand then. I only regret that I didn't go forward with voicing my concerns openly at that time to Bishop Madison, what they were doing behind closed doors. It's the same thing today, and they have not changed. I continued to tell Judge Gibbs last week that I'm appealing to you. They got quiet and slowly moved back to their seats. Hebrew Wiggins stood up, went back over to the mountain. Monroe sat up in his seat. The guys behind me, they left. They went on moving forward to tell me to be in Philadelphia on the next Friday for an appeal case. That's exactly what happened. And you sat there watching the whole thing. And you knew You knew. I don't know what went through your mind, but the things that you know about, to sit there and let that happen, knowing what was about to take place, I left with tears. I knew what I was going to do. I know that they have not changed. I'm only appealing to get my credentials back. However, because of what I've been through so far, I'm still undecided on whether or not I should drop this case. My only aim is to help you in this kingdom. I don't wish to be seen, heard, make a name for myself, or try to impress anyone to get a title or position. I don't care about titles and positions. I just want to use what gifts I've been blessed with and help you save souls. That's where I was at the time. I now know that there is no concern about bishops saving souls. Their concern is about money. I was not born in the house of prayer, and I've witnessed as well as endured a great deal of wrong, unfairness, and injustice. How did I go from one who brings in strong, faithful, and dedicated members all of a sudden to someone that is against you and doing nothing but causing trouble and division in the house of prayer? How did we get here? Because of lies that many of those councilmen have told you about me due to jealousy. Many times I was upset at the treatment towards my mother for her spirituality and for being obedient to you. And many times I was upset for treatment towards me for the same reasons, or simply because I'm known to stand for right. My nickname on council for many years has been Loose Cannon. Ever since we came in the house of prayer, you have taught us, after we've done all we can, to stand, even if we have to stand alone. I now know that even though you were saying those things, you didn't mean it because, well, he's gone, but he didn't mean it because he wasn't standing. He wasn't standing for what's right. You have recently taught us to hold on to the line no matter what. That's what I do. I stand. I hold to the line, and I'm going to stand for what's right no matter what. I'm at the point where I can't do any more to get across to you what many of them under you are doing to hinder our Creator's work. They have misused their positions and authority to advance who they wish and set up in order to take down who is not in their clique or who challenges them when they are wrong. This is what has happened to me, yet I still serve and love you because I know this is a result of them lying to you about me. I have prayed, meditated, and I have waited. I will continue to lean on you and trust in our Father, knowing that He knows the truth of my words and my actions, despite what many of them have done or said to hinder or destroy all of the work I put in to help you in our Father's kingdom. Therefore, I will simply wait for your instructions. At the time, I signed off by saying, your son, at the time, saying Elder, Brother J. Lewis. Now, quickly, this is the letter that I've written to the General Assembly because I didn't go to Philadelphia. Written to the General Council. To the Bailey General Council regarding postponement of my appeal case. Peace and greetings to you. I, Saint Elder, currently Brother Lewis, would like to request that my appeal case that was to be held today in the Supreme Court, being held in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, be postponed until Washington, D.C., convocation week or later during this convocation season if need be, due to financial and medical reasons. I just learned that my youngest daughter needs to get corrective glasses due to a recent eye injury to restore her proper vision, or else face possible eye surgery a few months from now. The funds that I would have been using for the trip to Philadelphia will now be used towards that purpose. I do intend on making my way to Washington, D.C., and can continue to have my case represented there. If anything prevents me from being able to attend, then I will make the court aware and seek to ask for another consideration to have this case presented between Virginia and Charlotte Convocation Week. Thank you for your time and attention towards this matter, and I hope to see you soon in order to have this case concluded. Yours in grace, St. Elder, Brother J. Lewis. Brooklyn, number 3. The last letter is what I wrote to Bishop Bailey at the time while updating him and trying to get a meeting with him so that I could bring all these things to his attention, but was not aware at the time that he was postponing me and putting me off because the reality was he didn't want to see me at all. To Addie Bailey from St. Elder Brother J. Lewis regarding postponement of appeal case. Peace and good morning / afternoon to you, Ad. I am writing at this time to inform you of an appeal case that will be coming before you in the near future pertaining to my getting checked and receiving my credentials. I know your time is precious, and I do not wish to bother you or waste any of your time, but felt it necessary to take this route and bring to your attention my request to have my appeal case postponed until Washington, D.C., or further down the line if need be. I've made attempts to bring matters to you through our proper channels, but I have repeatedly had no success. I am not one to go around protocol or procedures, but I feel that I cannot do what you told me to do when you said to report to you when I know something is wrong. Enclosed is a copy of the request that I sent to the General Counsel on Friday while they were in Philadelphia. I did not let it be known that I made a copy for you to them because in times past, information was either held from you or lies were told to you about matters concerning me and my intent. Also, I enclosed a detailed explanation as to how this particular case came about. I was advised to take this course of action because they will take occasion to tell you what they want to tell you behind closed doors and not allow me the opportunity to tell you what really happened. And I did not want to end up being embarrassed once again before the court or the people. I recalled the things that I had already been through and could see why they told me what they told me. So I enclosed an account of what took place in the General Assembly and how that action led to my appeal case so that you would know the truth and the facts of this matter. Add, I close this letter with this. I am not in this for a letter, a position, or a title. I am in this for my soul and the souls of those that I can help you save. I love you, and I am fully committed to you and whoever our Creator chooses to use after you. I'm not a troublemaker. They are making me out to be, and I never intend to cause trouble by doing what I know is right. Let me go back over this. I'm not the troublemaker that they are making me out to be, and I never intend to cause trouble by doing what I know is right. Either way, no matter what lies or false accusations are told to you, no matter what label they try to put on me, I will always and forever love, honor, respect, obey, follow, and serve you as an elder in the front or a brother from the pews. At the time, your son, Saint Elder Brother Joseph Lewis. Now, I said that again, being indoctrinated and not being aware of the things that was taking place and the things that was going on. And I meant every single word. Today, after I discovered and after it was brought to my attention that Addie Bailey was a part of the things that's going on to defraud the organization and to manipulate the members, including myself, then of course I can no longer intend to do these things and remain in a position where I'm serving him. I see now that there's things that you've been involved in that I can't support. And for that reason, I have always from day one refused absolutely to support or serve Addie Cham. And you knew this was going to happen because we've had dealings. We've had dealings. I don't even know if you recall where you told me that you can't follow these rules in the house of prayer. You told me on the phone that you know that there's members in 601 Elm Street not paying tithes. You said you got a lot of people not paying tithes. You know you had. But you said, what would you look like if you sat down all them people? You said the rules say that they ain't supposed to have a position. They're not supposed to serve in any capacity. But you sat there and you said, but what would I look like if I sat these people down? I ain't going to have nobody. What you didn't know is on the phone that day, I'm sitting here looking at my phone as if to say, am I hearing what I'm hearing? Because as high as you were in the organization, what you did not know that you were telling me, my perception of what you said was, you don't trust him. Whenever you have to break laws, skirt around laws in order to hold on to people, just so you can have people, despite the fact that they're not living right or doing right or breaking the laws, whether the laws of the land or laws of the organization, when you don't stand up to defend and support the law and you allow people to do whatever the law says not to say, then that makes you just as guilty. You're the culprit. You're the problem. It's an easy fix. As the pastor of 601 Elm Street, you want to fix 601 Elm Street? Get rid of the one who's allowing all that nonsense to happen. My point is this. For all of you members, non-members, friends, interested parties who want to understand why I'm doing what I'm doing, it's in these letters. I've been fighting with this council back and forth because of things that they've been lying about and doing to other people to hurt and harm them, while I would come to their aid and their rescue, only to see the councilmen, the chairman, the pastors, even senior ministers of the organization turn a blind eye or a deaf ear. Don't want to hear it. So I've watched people being abused and hurt by this group of men, bullies. And my only aim was to somehow, some way, get a meeting with the bishop so that I can bring to his attention what I was seeing. At the time, as a local elder, I didn't know this stuff. As a pastor, you pastor, as a pastor, I didn't know this stuff. But I'm seeing things, and I would deal with it. I'd go to the chairmen to fix it. They started doing stuff behind my back to not let me see it anymore. But the thing is that they weren't fixed. These problems became bigger problems. They were ongoing. As I climbed up in the ranks of the organization, I would see more. I would see councilmen doing more. I would see them getting away with stuff. I've seen monies raised in the house of prayer, and the chairman would sit there and use that money for something other than what the people believed that it was raised for. I've seen chairmen in Apostle Sutton in Virginia, when you had monies that had been collected for house offering, you had the people take that house offering and put it in a benevolence fund for someone because you didn't want to put money in, nor have the elders of that state elders council that night raise any more money. Because the only thing that the people in the house of prayer give money towards is either love gift or G class, because those are the things you're going to get your name called out for. That's why every time you have reports being given, you hear every single pastor say these words. Third on top is, sister, just want to please. Second on top is, deacon, I'll pay you to give me a position. But first on top is, elder, I hit it and got away with it. That's how these people keep getting by and getting on top and doing things to cover up things. Those are the ones being pushed forward. And the ones who's doing right, living right, doing everything they can to stand for what's right, those are the ones who's getting pushed further and further back. And they'll use you and take every single dime you give. And when you're done giving that money, you are gone and forgotten. Until one day you're laying in a bed inside of a nursing home and nobody is coming to see about you. And many of the members are there already, especially those at the top. You got all this sickness and disease rampant going throughout the entire organization while people are sitting there singing. Sitting there singing. Calling on you. He's my friend. That's not even a friend. That's not even a friend. Call him in the courtroom. Is that? No, not that song. We have so many songs. It's been a while. But if I sit here and think for a few more seconds, all kinds of songs are going to come to my mind. And that's why I talk about that favorite one. Call and add, he's my rock. And we do that even in these meetings. And that's why the General Assembly, the most important meeting, ain't supposed to have no music in it. Band's not supposed to be playing. We have in General Assembly meetings and General Council meetings, and bands are now playing. It's a distraction. That's why I talk about Congress. You go up in Congress, you never saw the Senate singing, calling Biden, he's my rock, he's my rock, he's my rock. I'm calling Trump, he's my rock, he is. They ain't calling nobody. They're there for business, and they're there for the law. Thank you very much. We'll see you in the next video.